anything can happen. We have seen players in this competition go on winning streaks. We have seen incredible comebacks. We have seen absolutely everything. And it's now in the hands of these two competitors. Yifan, now playing with the black pieces. Wenjun has been in impressive shape. She switches up from an early knight f3 to playing d4, knight f3. Now, will she back this up with c4? No, she goes for a fianchetto system. Yifan just sticking to one of her tried and tested openings, the Queen's Indian. Now, oh no, now this is double fianchetto.
Yeah, and I think white is already better. This d5, usually if white is able to do that and after that stabilize with the knight, this special pawn on d5, it blocks so much this bishop on b7. So that's why this d5 pawn is so powerful. And it's a very logical and typical reaction by black, bringing out the knight, immediately taking advantage of the d5 that she can bring out the knight very actively. Black will be playing a5, so white is not able to push b4 and push away the knight from c5, where it just jumped in. White probably knight d4 is also something that they like to be continuing after d5 and up making space and opportunity for e4. e6, black is trying to break up the center.
Interesting though, because I've had people play this against me with the black pieces, and they've always gone castles, and then they've met knight to d4 with e5, just unbalancing the pawn structure in that way. But well, there's a very real risk here for Yifan that if she does not do something right now, then e4 is going to be coming, and white will simply have a very strong center, and it's going to be very difficult for black to get that counterplay. And it's the type of position that Wenjun excels in, where she has that extra space, she has mobility for the pieces. a5, no, I'm not liking the direction this is going in, Judit. I feel like a5 maybe wasn't the most precise move as of yet.
Well, the problem is that if you don't play a5, then you might as well get in trouble. And after that, capturing on e6. So, I mean, it seems like now that we see what was the follow-up move for white, e5 could have been played in one move, right? As you said it before. Black could have the castling move already there. But tempes are not necessarily so important in these positions, while the structure is very important and very promising for white, because having this space advantage for white with having a huge center with the pawn c4, e4, and look at that f4, it's kind of interesting. Wenjun usually is not so aggressive already such an early phase of the game. She's more soft, developing. I mean, she could play b3, she could play a3, bishop e3, immediately going for it.
Yeah, which is actually a little bit surprising. But we did see Wenjun in her round of 16 match against Anastasia Avramidou do something similar, and it backfired. You know, she pushed way too hard. She was provoked enough. So maybe this is Yifan's strategy, because as you mentioned earlier, when you're playing Blitz, you don't have to play correct chess. You just have to try to understand and get under the skin of your opponent. And there we see, it looks great for white, but black's position is solid now.
It is a very unusual position, I must say. I don't think I've ever seen this maneuver with white. To go from f3 all the way to d4, b5, a3, landing your knight on a3. At the same time, you made some very active moves with your pawn, right? From f2 to all the way to f5. Interesting that black did not play d6. So this way, after knight e8, knight d6 was available, square for the knight. So while white has a huge space advantage, I really don't like this knight on a3. Obviously, who would? But I don't know if white will have enough time to recover from that pawn, that knight. But this bishop is also something I would not be proud of. And it's very hard if black is going to play bishop a6 and trying to put pressure on the c4 pawn. But it's very difficult for black, generally speaking. I mean, some people I think would say that black is lost strategically.
I would be in that category as well. But on the other hand, because I love this type of position with white, and it is white that has the free hand. Like you mentioned, bishop a6, that can easily be blunted by b3. And also, white is the one who has a queen to d2, bishop to h6 in the air, whereas black is the one who's struggling for a way to break through. I mean, I was looking at capturing on d5 while you were talking. Is this some way that you have to go, in order to open up the lines?
Yeah, I mean, it will be quite a big question for black, how she wants to look for counter chances. That looks very logical, what you're saying, to play c takes d5. And then waiting white, how is she going to be capturing back? Is it with the knight? And the b6 pawn can be also very vulnerable. So actually the knight will not be able to jump away to e4, because then the knight on d5 and the bishop b6 can be there. Now I colored that board pretty much. G4.
Oh,
strengthening.
Okay. But it's time, Judith. I think that black is on the verge of being squashed. G5, F6 is coming to lock down the king side. So you have to go, in my opinion, c takes d5. Otherwise, there's no space for black to fight with.
I'm not sure. I'm thinking as a King's Indian player to play bishop f6, for example, and trying to exchange the black square bishop on g5. Or not, even if white is not going to be allowing that I'm going to be exchanging, still this diagonal blocking the opportunity for white to push g5, h4 and stuff like that. Sometimes it can work, but yeah, you want to take on d5, yeah? Let's do some action.
Yes, but
rook a8 doesn't seem to be the move.
Yeah, your move makes a lot of sense.
What is the sense of rook e8, you think?
Maybe a square for the bishop on f8.
That's what I thought also, bishop f8. But what do you think, how much chance there is that this bishop ever going to show up on c5? Having so many traffic with that knight. I mean, it's a traffic jam there, no? You're not able to move those.
Pretty. No, I agree. Well, maybe her idea is just simply to keep things rock solid. She always has that escape square for the bishop to f8, and then planning about
queen f3.
d5.
I would go queen f3 now.
Yeah, that
no,
was,
I played.
I go queen f3. My vibe. And no, we see a take on c6.
Yeah, and g5. Also a nice idea. I like actually d takes c6 generally, though I would have played queen f3, but I like g5, queen g4, rook d1 idea. Because counterplay. The question is, can black have counterplay? Or it's only white who is playing for and entertaining herself. Now probably the plan of black to go rook d8 and moving back this awful bishop to c8 and trying to put pressure on that. Yeah, you see. So now suddenly, after d takes c6, suddenly black has sense how to play the pieces.
That's true. With some clarification, and we see how Yifan, she's so good at this, but they're gonna have to bring their best because they're both now under the minutes, and that is when things start to become unsettled.
I just want to go back to this point because it is so interesting in chess, the tension. When you have a tension with the pawns or with pieces, who takes it and how? Like here, for example, leaving the position and let black to take at some point c takes d5 is leaving a completely different game than white is taking e6, d takes c6, and suddenly everything is so different, right? Bishop c8, queen e2, rook d1, f6, bishop f8. So suddenly, what does white have apart from having this not very good knight on a3? Well, bishop c5
Well,
probably was a good move. Not allowing knight e6.
And also, this bishop on f8 can't get into the game. Let's face it. And this knight on d6, well, it needs to go all the way over to e6, and then it can find a very happy home there on d4. And that's exactly what Wenjun is doing. Sorry, Yifan is doing. In it comes. This is anyone's fight.
But
I
look
almost
at
feel
the
like
time.
it's better for Yifan.
Yifan is having the moment of kicking back. Absolutely. The d4 square, how important it's going to be for the knight. Knight f4 is also tempting. h6, what an unpleasant move when you have 12 seconds. We need 3, trying to protect everything.
Okay, everything is protected, and now is the time for Yifan just to jump in with a knight. Oh, this is nice, actually, because...
Queen d1! Queen d1!
Queen d1. Oi, oi, oi. The black queen is going to swoop in. Okay. In seconds, so she didn't spot that opportunity. But you see the shake of the head from Wenjun. Now the black bishop is out of its cage, and the queen is going to just snake her way in. In she comes with a check. The e-pawn is falling, and all of black's pieces are working beautifully now.
Yeah, this is going to be a victory for Yifan. That's how it stands. Hard for me to believe.
Yeah.
But of course, it's never easy. It's never easy. That was not a good exchange for black. Even though black has a great advantage, but she still has to make those few moves. King h6, king h5.
Well, both players on survival mode here on the clock. As we see Yifan tick down to almost 1 second on the clock. It is just instinct here.
And white lost on time.
Yifan wins on time.